I was constantly feeling frustrated with my kids. Every time they interrupted me, it was so annoying. My brain could not remember any details. My impatience was at an all-time high. I did not have an attention span for anything. I mean, I could not sit and wait for someone to finish a task for longer than 3 seconds before my mind had pulled my phone out of my pocket and I was on social media, because I had to be constantly entertained in my brain like a little child who's gotten sucked into too much TV. But I didn't want a dumb phone. I didn't want to do that. I couldn't do that. There were a long list of reasons as to why that wasn't going to work in my life. So what was I supposed to do? What was I going to do? Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how I took my brain back. I can think clearly now. I'm more content. I enjoy my kids and my life. They don't feel like they're interrupting me and seeing me on my phone constantly, and I don't feel like I'm so low on patience and high in frustration. I have so much more peace and rest in my life. I can actually sit and be content just sitting and thinking because my brain works. I took it back. So how did I do that? Keeping my smartphone, pretending like it was a dumb phone. If you want to find out, stay tuned for today's Full Joy Mom video.
You're watching Full Joy Mom.
Well, if you are new here, hi, my name is Dawn Marie, and I am a mom of 4 little kids. I homeschool. I have an Instagram account. I have this YouTube channel, and while there's lots to be said about social media, I don't see it as fully bad, but what it did to my brain was absolutely rotten. I literally rotted away my brain with my phone. So one of the first things I had to do is admit that I actually had a problem. I started noticing I had a problem when I realized that my subconscious mind would pull my phone out in a moment of boredom and be on Instagram before I was even aware of what I was doing. So I would catch myself being on my phone scrolling through Instagram in the most inopportune times, like something's burning on the stove, the child's screaming for me 10 times because they need help in the bathroom. You name it, I was on my phone at the wrong time. So I started to slowly make these steps towards taking my brain back. And it's been something I've been working on for the last year or two because I am a content creator and I feel like I want to be on social media and be a light. And I also have gathered so much wisdom from other accounts that I follow. But how can I balance that to make sure I'm not sucked in and ultimately take my brain back so that I can function and enjoy life and I have the mental capacity to stand surrounded by beauty and actually take it in, not have like, it was so crazy. I could just be in nature, which I absolutely love. And it was like, I wouldn't actually get that fulfillment or enjoyment being there because I had desensitized myself and I had programmed my brain to need these unnatural hits from social media and from my phone. I did not have an attention span. I desperately wanted to be present. I had this heart to be present for my kids. But I would be in the moment, like telling myself, be present, be present, be present, pay attention to this, pay attention to this is cute and adorable, or, whatever it was. And, this is an important moment. And I couldn't actually tap into being fully present in that moment because my brain didn't have the capability. So that is one of the biggest changes. There's so many. I honestly just feel like a new person having put all of these different principles into place in my life to just keep my brain fresh and intact. But I really do love having a smartphone. That's how I listen to tons of audiobooks. That's how I play audiobooks for my kids who are homeschooled. I love the app Hoopla. It's, you can get it for free through your library most of the time. I like going on Spotify and listening to podcasts. I have family that is far away from me that I stay connected to through different social media apps. So when I realized I had a problem and I went on a search to sort of find out what this dumb phone was all about, there were just way too many obstacles in the way for me to be able to do that. I have moved a handful of times, and we just recently moved in the last few months here, I need a GPS to get me where I'm going. Now, what's interesting is I can actually remember things now. I literally have the capability to put things into my brain and actually remember them. It's pretty fascinating. Before, I think I would have just like written that off as mom brain, or just, you know, some other things maybe that I was recovering from, or external factors maybe even. I would not have guessed that my poor memory quality and my brain fog was actually related to my phone usage, and how I had programmed my mind to work. So I use the GPS, but I also am remembering street names, where I'm going, directions I need to travel, and able to build a map in my head better than I was able to do that at all the last locations that we moved to, because my brain works. I don't feel as scatterbrained anymore. You know, when my kids come and talk to me while I'm doing something, it's like they're not interrupting a mom that has a brain so jumbled full of the last 500 posts that I have consumed, you know, because I spent 10 or 15 minutes on social media, which doesn't seem like a lot of time. You know, you're by comparison going like, oh, I'm not one of those people that's spending hours on social media, so you think it's okay. But in reality, this technology that we have on our phones, the way in which we're receiving information, it's this God-like thing that's giving us information so rapidly, but we're on the other end of it with human capabilities to take it all in. And so it's not always just about like, oh, make sure you're, you know, watching good things and taking in positive content. It's also just about your brain's ability to receive so much input through the day. So if you scroll through 30 posts and you're only on for a couple minutes, your mind has to do something with all of that information that you just took in, and that can really make you be mentally fatigued because you have all this information that mostly is irrelevant to your life that you have to process and sort through. But again, I'm not totally against it, because a lot of the like different homesteading skills that I've been learning and motivation to sort of take my life in that direction, it's come from Instagram because I'm able to see other people doing that. And so it's definitely it's not just this thing of like, oh, content is bad. It's more about how it's affecting your brain's ability to work, and the fact that there are other ways to get a lot of that content. You know, many of the people you follow, they've probably written books, and they have a blog that might be more natural for your brain to go and read, instead of, you know, sorting through 500 other posts just to get to the one that you want from them. Another huge thing that I noticed was actually more stability in my emotions. I wasn't having to either, I just had, I don't know, I had free space to be able to deal with the issues that were coming in my life, and they didn't just pile up to this chaotic mess in my mind, because instead of running to social media to numb my brain out, to check out for a while, to stick a Band-Aid on that thing, I was able to sit down and sort out all of those thoughts and deal with whatever emotional, you know, whatever thing was causing me all these unstable emotions. I could deal with it instead of get on social media because I'm all stressed out. It gives me this temporary relief from whatever I'm stressed out about, but oftentimes it leaves me so much worse after the fact, because now my brain is more exhausted, isn't able to deal with whatever the emotional unrest is. And I've added a whole bunch of new content to my mind to sort of filter through, and now it's just even more chaos. You know, comparison is the thief of joy, and so certainly there's this risk you place yourself out getting on social media, you comparing your insides, your blooper reel, to everyone else's highlight reel. I mean, that really did me in emotionally a lot of times. Even if I had my guard up and knew about it, it just was more, it was just more work for my brain to filter through all of that. I've noticed I don't snap at my kids as often because they're not coming and interrupting me when I'm deep in thought or caught up in my phone, or when I've just made my brain 10 times worse because I'm not actually dealing with anything in my thought life. I'm just going to social media to numb it out. I don't respond that much. It's just easier for me to respond in patience and love to my kids because my mind's not constantly wrapped up in this artificial world that's not actually the reality that's right in front of my face. It might be someone else's reality, but it's not my own reality, and it is a form of an escape. as I continued on this journey and recognized that social media and my phone, really, it doesn't even have to be social media. Like, I would take breaks from social media and my brain would find something else on my phone to check 500 times just to it was so crazy, just to like numb my mind out. I'm checking like my bank statement that hasn't moved because like the random account that's not going anywhere, nothing's being spent out of it. There I am. That's bizarre. That's not natural. That makes no sense. That my mind would literally be like, I just got to do something on my phone. I just have to check something because it's going to give me this tiny little endorphin something. I don't even know. Just craziness. So once I realized how unhealthy my phone was for me, and I started to make these adjustments, I realized that my appetite changed in what I wanted. So if I was stressed and I needed to decompress, I found myself reaching for something that was far more healthy and actually helped me to decompress, to de-stress, to unwind my mind. And I did come out of that time spent, it's different for everybody, whatever their healthy decompression method is, but I was finding that I had more of an appetite for that the longer I went on. Like, one way that I can actually decompress now is by sitting still. Like, I can actually sit still and just be happy with my own thoughts. I can just sit there and like think, just sit and think. It feels bizarre. Like, I could not do that before. I could not just sit and feel contentment because my mind would be able to entertain myself, so to speak. So some things that I started to do to help take my brain back. One of the very first things that I did was change the location where my most used social media apps were on my phone. I would hide them from my brain because I really needed to get rid of that pathway in my mind that could subconsciously click on my phone and know exactly where those apps were. So for instance, instead of having my Instagram on my home screen, I hid it inside of my menu, inside of a folder that was for something random. So that gave me the ability to sort of catch myself getting on social media and be like, whoa, what are you doing? It's not time to be on there right now. I highly recommend like different periods of time where you like take a break from social media and you just totally hop off of it. But there's more than just that, because like I said before, it's like your mind will actually find different things to go to. So I do not use my phone first thing in the morning, ever. I took a little bit to break that habit because I would go, okay, I'm not going to get on social media, but I'm going to check the weather. Like, who cares? Look outside of the window. Like, you don't need to check the weather. But I would check the weather. I would check that bank account that's not going anywhere. I would check, I don't even know, whatever I could find on my phone that seemed safe and wasn't social media. I would get on and check it. Like, that would be the way to help my brain wake up. No, not at all. It did not help at all. It was not a good way to wake up. It actually just numbed my mind in the morning. So in the beginning, it was like, don't do it first thing in the morning. After that, it was like, I'm not even going to check it for the first few hours. Another thing I did was I didn't charge it by my bedside. And that one's like easier said than done, but really healthy for your brain to not have it charging right near where you're sleeping. I would set timers for myself. If I was going to get on social media, I wouldn't set a timer. I shouldn't say that, because honestly, 5 minutes is not long enough to do anything on social media. You have to blow far more amount of time than whatever you're going to put on that timer to feel like you actually accomplished anything on social media. But I would take account of the time. I might also try to avoid getting on it at night, because that's when I will just blow the most time sitting on there after I put the kids to bed. And there's so many other more useful things that I now enjoy doing instead of just scrolling on social media. I switched as much as I could to paper. Now, I've never really been a fan of having my calendar on my phone, but if you are, you really ought to put your calendar somewhere else. You want to like devalue your phone for your brain. You don't want to have more reasons to get on your phone. You want to have less. So if you're looking at like, hey, I really would love a dumb phone, but I can't because of X, Y, and Z, well, just get rid of using your phone for as many things as possible. So if that means you're not reading books on your Kindle anymore, now you're buying them in physical copy, great, do that. If it means that you are not using it Not using it for a to-do list. That's a really easy one. Stick that to-do list on a piece of paper. You might feel like your grocery list is going to get left at home. It's not. You do it once and you'll not forget again. And guess what is really fascinating? If you get your brain back and you write your grocery list down on a piece of paper, do you know what can actually happen? You can be inside of the grocery store and remember your list. How about that? Because there's something awesome that happens when you write things down on a paper and your brain works. You have a greater chance of remembering what you wrote down. So you might get there, forget that list, and be like, that's okay, because I can actually remember everything that's on it. My brain works. As much as you can, get off of your phone, get it old school, get it onto a piece of paper, put everything there so that you're not constantly using your phone for things that aren't totally necessary. Now, I want to encourage you that the more you see benefits to making these modifications in your life, the easier it will become to have self-control to actually keep these in place. I know that's one appeal of the dumb phone, is that you can't actually do any of the things on the phone, but you will start to have more self-control because you'll see the rewards in your own life. So another thing I did to help my brain out is I got rid of every notification. I know that's not new, but I feel like I take it a step further than what I've heard of, because not only do I not get any notifications on my phone to swipe away or no dinging noises, but I also disabled my phone's ability to, you know how you have the icon and then like you'll have a red circle and it'll say 33, and so you know there's 33 updates there. I don't even have that show up on my phone. Even with the apps that I use to communicate to close family and friends, I do not let it notify me of when I have a new message from them, because what I found is it totally pulls away from my mom life. It was almost just like knowing that it existed, like, oh, hey, there's the message from my friend, even though I know my friend's not over there going, hurry up, get back to me, what's taking you so long? Like, they don't care when I get back to them. It added this mental to-do list. Like mentally it added something on my to-do list, and so that was stealing from me, because now I'm in the middle of what I'm supposed to be doing in my day with my mom life, but it's like this pop-up ad in the back of my head that's like, you have a message there, you should get to that. Or maybe sometimes I really wanted to listen to that, and now I'm listening to that message in the completely wrong time because I knew it existed. Whereas if I just had that notification turned off, my brain wouldn't have even known it was there, and then I could check it at the right time. Like, I want to have control over it. Don't you tell me what I'm going to consume, phone. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to consume. So all notifications are completely gone. Another helpful thing that I found was to change the important people in my life, like my husband's ringtone, to something separate than everything else. That way I'm not in the middle of doing something important and running for my phone because, oh, it might be my husband, maybe he needs me. I've gone through different seasons where I find a spot in the house to stick my phone. I don't need to carry my phone in my back pocket with me everywhere I go. And this idea minimizes the amount of times that I go looking for my phone and I can't find it anywhere. If you just find a spot and you know that's where the spot is all the time, then when you want to grab it for that really cute picture, because that's one big reason why I did not want to switch phones. I love my phone's capability of taking really great pictures, and I don't have to worry about it as much as if I would carry around our big professional camera. That's not going to work for me. And I don't want a separate camera. Like, I just didn't want any of those solutions, So I know right where my phone is, and honestly, I feel like I'm not living life trying to make it into a beautiful picture. Beautiful pictures happen on their own, but not every single day, every single moment has to be this beautiful picture. When I was really absorbed into social media, I found that I was constantly, like, I wasn't trying to be something different than I was for social media. Like, my heart was pure towards it, but I was trying to like share it well. And so I really wanted a great picture to capture the moment of whatever thing was going on and all the perfect words. I mean, that really got to be pretty time consuming. So now that I've sort of in my own brain devalued social media from that aspect, I'm not chasing the perfect picture anymore. And I really like that. If you're really having a hard time with your brain getting to disassociate, your phone with this easy hit of when you're bored or when you're stressed, try just shutting it off for a few hours. Like, pick a day where you let everyone in your family know. Maybe it's like if there's an emergency, you have to email me. I don't know. You can figure that part of it out. But I've done that a handful of times, and it's actually incredibly freeing to just be like, huh, nobody can reach me. I can't reach anyone else. My phone does not exist. It's really nice. The last thing that I'll share with you is sort of this mental checklist that I made for myself. I never had it on paper until I got ready for this video, but I formulated a plan of when I was allowed to be on social media. And before, after I had disassociated my brain's ability to, like, I'm not subconsciously getting on social media anymore. Now I'm going to choose when I'm going to get on. I would run through a list that it was like, if I didn't meet this criteria, then I knew it wasn't the right time to get on. So here's that list. The list is, how are my emotions? Am I in a stable spot? Will this wreck my good mood or make my bad mood worse? Is this the right time to get on? Are my kids around? Do they need me? Before getting on, I decided how long I wanted to be on. I'd also think about, like, what am I getting on for? Is there an account I want to check in on? Like, what do I kind of have the appetite for right now? Like, oh my gosh, that cute homesteading mom, I want to see what she's been up to. That'll be really great. And decide what I'm going to do, not just like get on and the first thing that consumes my brain, pop on and do that. And I go and catch up on the last 10 dance, whatever they're called, reels that they've put out. Like, I just go watch the last 10 of them. Like, you're not really missing out on as much as you think that you are. And you've got to get over the fear of missing out. Like, nothing is that important on social media that it's worth you literally like chopping up your brain in a blender. That's what's happening basically. I also would remind myself before getting on social media of things like, remember, you're not going to compare yourself to these other accounts. You're going to let these things motivate you and encourage you, and it's going to be happy. You're not going to compare the life that you're living to the life that they're living, because you're in your own lane, living the life that you've been called to live, and they're in theirs. So if that person, if you can't get on and watch them and it's encouraging to you, then don't even bother. And having self-control when you've clicked on at the wrong time. Oh my goodness, like, just do it. Just because you got on there at the wrong time does not mean you have to stay on at the wrong time. Like, even now, it'll like slip through the cracks. I'll be like, oh no, I'm on. And we have worse internet at this new house because we're in like the Appalachian Mountains of Pennsylvania. And so it's funny because before that first post has time to load, I'll be like, oh, I'm on. Oh my goodness, this is not the right time. Get off, quick, quick, quick. And I'll quickly, as fast as I can, X out before I see that first post, because they know who you love on there. And that first post is going to be a good one that I want to see. And so I very quickly get off. So anyways, I hope that all this information was helpful to you. It has been so helpful to me. I love the peace and the contentment, the joy, the capability that my brain now holds. I love, love, love it all. So anyways, I hope that this video blessed you. If you are new here and you want to hit subscribe, or if you liked the video and you want to give it a thumbs up, I would love that. I loved having you here. Thanks so much for stopping by. Until next time.